Welcome back to Creative Perspectives. I'm so excited that you're here. Okay, I'm going to get started because I know I'm long-winded in the intro, so I will try to be quick. Okay, so my first Bible verse, the first topic is crushing and going through your stage of fear. Okay. How to overcome fear is pretty much what I want this to be about. And we're all designed differently, so I handle my emotions and things different. My thing is I get afraid real quick, and then now I'm in my problem solving stage, like, okay, what needs to be done to get through this situation, or to solve the problem, whatever it is. I'll automatically do that. I don't sit there and just kind of be like, but everybody's different. So hopefully I can inspire you today to get through your fear, through anxiety, something, everybody goes through something different. Some people don't go through anything, but I mean, I think we all do, whether it's a job issue, an educational issue, kids issue, family issues, whatever it may be in your life, So anyway, first Bible verse is 1 John chapter 4, verse 18. There is no fear in love. So real love, there's no fear in it. But perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. That is amazing. Oh my God. Imagine marriages that could, just work miracles in a situation like that. But this also can pertain to fear. So if somebody with fear comes to you, it through love, and not selfish thoughts, you can definitely help someone else, I never understood why God keeps bringing people to my table. And I'm talking about women, men, children, and they just start talking, and I've had, a lady, she comes over, she's like, you are so bright. Your spirit is like really bright. So I was like, what does that mean? Because I'm me, I get up, I get ready, I get out the house, I do what I have to do. I work, live my day. Sometimes stressors are brought my way. So I'm normal, just like everybody else. But when she said that, I was like, okay, let me take a look at this, and then I had a little girl. Oh my gosh, she melted my heart so bad. But I was in the store, and then she came up and she was like, Mom, look, that's a real life princess. I was like, what the heck is going on? Maybe God was just trying to uplift me or something. But I was like, it's like almost as if God allows things to come in threes, like your blessings. And I mean, in my life, blessings, and then people who try to bring distractions to your life, or insert themselves to bring some type of obstacle, so it could be a distraction or just an obstacle. A distraction is an obstacle. So I was like, and then I was in the gym, and another lady was like, she was like, you're vibrating high. What? Huh? I was like, vibrating high. All right, I'll take it. And I was like, what does that mean? She was like, just nothing. It's just, I could tell. I was like, okay, well, whatever you say. So anyway, let's move it along. I'm only going to do two. The second one is 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. This one says, for the spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. So when I talk about being a warrior, that's what I'm talking about. You got to take control of your life. Nobody else can do it for you. You shouldn't expect people to do it. And it's kind of selfish to think that other people would take control of your life. Like, or it's like chickening out of life. Like, please solve my problems. Please help me. It's like, no, just see where you are and see what you can do to get yourself, to do better, in that situation. But we're talking about fear. So when we're talking about that, just don't be timid. Self-discipline can definitely help you, obviously, and that's in the word, Love definitely can help you, because when you have a loving spirit, it brings in a lot of people that could possibly help you, get through your fear or be able to help you through it. And it gives us power. Power over our situations. So when I was thinking about, crushing fear, I was pretty much thinking about some incidents that happened in my life, because a lot of people, when they start talking, I mean, they have to have an incident attached to what you're saying, so they know you've been through something. You're not just a cute person or a, you know, whatever type of person, you know. Coming up here just blowing smoke, you know. Like, you ain't going through nothing, girl. You over there in your mansion and looking fancy. No, honey, no. Life gives us all a taste of its magic, good and bad, you know, because we have to be able to know who we are. And sometimes you really can't uncover that unless you go through some things, you know, go through some things. But the main thing is, if you forgive and you heal, you can look back and you just start looking at life completely from a just a different, you know, different way. Like, now I laugh at my problems. I'm like, okay, like, or I laugh at my the obstacles, you know, that can create fear in my life. And I'm like, okay, how are we going to solve this one? And then I always take it to God first, you know, and I'm a master of doing that. Like, and I just said in my brain, like, Lord, oh Lord, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Now I need your help. Tell me what needs to do. Show me, bring the right people around me to help me do it, you know. So, and it works, it happens. So my thing is, I think our power is when we trust in ourselves and we trust our capabilities. Now, some people haven't uncovered all of their capabilities because they're still stuck in an obstacle that's holding them back from being able to make it to that type of growth, you know. But because I've been through a lot of stuff, then I think, not bad, you know, I've had a good life, you know, but I've had a lot of things that happened, and I think God was covering me for this moment here, you know, so I could be able to share these things and share how, you know, the fear, you know, and how I overcame it, and then how now I can minimize different things in my life and, you know, stick with what's really important and what's going to help me be the best version of myself so I can help other people. Because at the end of the day, when we're in our power, you know, we can help a ton of people. You know, now me, you know, I don't have the time to really go out there. So when I see people on, you know, different platforms and they're, you know, doing different things, and, you know, I just don't, I can't. So I'm like, okay, well, how can I deliver my messages and bless people? You know, so I was like, you know, YouTube is a big platform, but I don't know who's going to come over here and watch. So let's see. So I prayed, I took it to God, and then I was inspired by people who, you know, close people to me. It was like, you should have been a counselor a long time ago, because you're very positive, and then you can see things objectively, and you're not selfish when you like think you're like trying to get people to see everything from a different angle, and then see it from other people's perspective, and then it gets them out of their own head of just looking at it from, I'm mad at him, or I'm mad at this situation. You're like, hold on. But you gotta remember, other people go through things too, you know. That's why I like the chess piece, you know, the way of explaining life, you know. You have your own side of the board, and you're fighting through life on your side, and then sometimes your man gets snatched up. You have lots of pieces on the board to continue to play in life until all your pieces are gone. Then you go in a pine box, you know, or you know, or cremated, or however God, you know, plans to take you out. So, so getting back to fear, my first incident, I will tell you, and I could say, well, not first incident in life. I'll stick with my deployment. That might help. Okay, just keep me focused. So anyway, we got hit October 12th of 2006, you know, mortar attack. And I was on post. You know, we have some soldiers, like our strikers, they go off post. And, but anyway, when that happened, it caught me off guard, because I just left my work area and I was on my way to my chew. And the chew is like where we sleep, you know. So I didn't have my K-pod, so, or my headgear, we call it. I'm trying to translate, you know, for civilian, military, you know. So anyway, I didn't have my headgear, you know, or my my vest. But my OIC, who ran our warehouse, did. So I told him, hey, I'm about to drive the Gator to my room to go grab my gear. So he was like, okay, use my K-Pod. So I used his K-Pod so I could be able to drive. So I go while I was leaving the SSA, and I was the SSA NCOIC. So when I left the SSA, and a COTAR evaluator, a contract evaluator, so we had 29 contractors working with us, and then we have 14 soldiers. You know, you got to manage them all, but not really the civilians. It's more like you just, you have to manage it, but I think they have their own issues. We just kind of report, and then evaluate, and then we have to write our evaluation for that month of performance, stuff like that. And it's heavy. Oh my gosh. It's like, and it's the federal contract too. So you're like, gosh. And then they put you on the spot. Did you get everybody's this and this and this and this? And then you're moving around and, but anyway, let's get back to the story. So anyway, the first hit happened when I was en route to my tube. So anyway, it hit. When it hit, I went from sitting down, and this was involuntary. I went from sitting down to standing up like a statue. And I was locked, like my entire body was locked during that time. So I was just saying, after I came back from it, I was like, Lord, please let my body move. Please, it's the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my life. I was like, please, let me move, Lord, let me move. So anyway, finally, I can't even tell you how long, because when it's in that moment, everything is just going, So anyway, bam, I could move. So I was like, fuck. So I sat down and I sped to my room. I got out, jumped out, got my pod, and then obviously, the delayed, I don't even know why we have them, the delayed siren goes off, and it tells us incoming. I'm like, y'all should have had this on the first hit. We're on the third hit. You know what I'm saying? We on the third hit. So that, that they need to get their budget together. But this was when I think we were going broke in America anyway. So, because I remember, they were talking about how everybody from the States who were colonists, they had to send their ammo, to Iraq, because I think, we were in a financial issue in America. So anyway, I get to my room. Then it starts saying incoming. So I'm grabbing all my gear, putting on my stuff. And then, I was like, oh, I got to return his Kevlar, So anyway, I start, and then on this, I start to go from my tube back to the SSA. So anyway, y'all got blessed. I told you some stuff came back, right? So, oh, God. But anyway, I go back to try to return back, but then there's some soldiers, start running. And I think that was the medical team. So I think one was like a Delta 12 or something, a surgical. They try to explain stuff to me on the way, but so the alarm came off, and they just requested everybody medical, pretty much to get to the hospital, which we call the cache. So anyway, so the soldier saw me in a Gator. He was like, look, can you take me? And I was like, look, I can only fit maybe one or two soldiers, but once they threw their gear in the back, I was like, there's no space. I wish I could take more, because everybody is hauling butt, from their tubes. And I never understood this. Like, why would you put soldiers, especially medical soldiers, so far from the hospital, to where if there is a crisis, they're running all the way across post to get to the cache to go do their jobs, So that, okay, but, we have to live where we have to live, because there is a rotation. Soldiers come in, soldiers go out, type of deal. So anyway, getting back to the story. So anyway, I returned. I couldn't find my OIC at first, because I returned back to where he should have been to give him his K-Pod, and while I had the soldiers there, waiting for me. So anyway, I checked under his bunk, and there was a group of soldiers, young soldiers. they were really scared. And because I try to make jokes, and sometimes my jokes could be dark because I'm trying to like bring so much light but keep it in the situation, so I guess I frightened them more or something like that. So I went to go away, and then one of the sergeants came up to me and said, "Hey, Sergeant, you know, uh, they're more afraid now because of what you just said." And I was like, "Oh, okay, let me go back." And then I apologized to the soldiers, and I said, "I'm sorry." I was like, I was just trying to make it light because we have, bombs coming in. So I tell him I'm sorry, I was just trying to, do that. So anyway, apology accepted, and I just told him, everything's gonna be okay, type of deal, and then went away. And then I get back in my gator, proceed to take the soldiers, but I was really trying to find my OIC to give him his K-pop back. So I finally ran into him, and then he was with my other chief, that's, the head of our operation. So, so anyway, he was telling me, how, a mortar hit his office. He said he had to dive underneath. He had to dive underneath his table, and he was like, "Oh shit!" He shut the door, ran, jumped under the thing. So I told my chief, I gotta get these soldiers to the hospital. So here's your K-pop back, And then he was like, "You need to get under cover, And I was like, I'll take them, and then I'll stay at the cache when I get there. So my original unit, they saw me, one of the, I think it was a staff sergeant or sergeant first class. And he's like, get under the bunk. And I was like, we got to take these soldiers to the hospital. So, but I'll return, when I do that, So anyway, I proceeded to the cache. We got the medical soldiers off. They were able to start immediately doing work, So I got there, and it's the first time I've seen a busy hospital. So I was like, oh shit. So anyway, I'm standing there waiting for, just for clearance to be able to leave to go return, to my unit for accountability. But because I would work throughout the post, they gave me my own radio, because I had a unique circumstance as far as being by myself sometimes, but mostly during the day. But anyway, I'm at the cache. Now, mind you, I didn't see fear. There was absolutely no fear, and I never understood why. But it's also because we do have churches, and I stayed prayed up, and I prayed almost every day, every moment of the day, because that mortar attack wasn't the only thing you have to deal with, in Iraq. So I was just like, Lord, today is a new day. Just stand beside me and help me, with what I need. And then I just go. I just do what I need to do. But I was there, and it was something else. But anyway, there was a striker got hit, obviously, and there was one soldier. I guess they lost. I wasn't able to see the soldier because I think if they come on post dead, then they kind of immediately take them to what y'all would consider corners. But it's like we have a place where they go. So anyway, but they brought in the person, the Iraqi that did the hit. So anyway, I'm sitting up here looking at this whole entire situation, and they're, everybody's mad, men, when they like get on level 10, they were way past 10 at this point. So I just was like, well, I don't want to talk. I'll just open the door, and let them bring the injured, people in or whatever. So anyway, there was a sergeant. He was freaking mad. Like, oh my God. He was a staff sergeant. And, I saw him, doing something that, I guess they interrogate, they do their own thing. So that's not my way. I'm more like, anyway. So anyway, I brought a situation I saw that, I know my UCMJ. So I brought some stuff that I saw, and I was like, don't do that. So he cussed me out so bad. And I didn't take it personal. Because when you see the situation, everybody is hyped up, that adrenaline is hitting, the trauma from what just happened is just going, so I let him do it. And he was like this, and he was just, and it had nothing to do with me. What was coming out of his mouth had to do with everything that just happened. so they lost a soldier. So, I mean, we're talking about mad. We're talking about somebody that kind of, they were mad. Just over there, it's a different ball game. So anyway, after he calmed down, it took him about half hour, because the Iraqi who did it is over there getting bullets removed from his body, and they're like pacing back and forward. Are you done yet? Are you done that with the doctors? So we have our military doctors, so they're used to the hyperness of soldiers being directly there. It's not like a regular hospital where you tell the family, stay out in the, in the room. They can bring them in raw, and everything's handled raw, and whether you're right there or not, that's what you're going to see, so that's how it's handled out there. It's not pretty. So, and it's not designed to be pretty, it's just designed, let's fix this person, let's get the job done, and that's the beginning of an end, and then we can start talk about being pretty at the end, So anyway, the guy was getting his bullets removed, and you could hear him wailing and all this and that, so they kind of hit him with some morphine just to kind of get him through it, because I guess he detonated, and then they followed through with small arms on that striker. So that's the situation he came back to explain after he came down. So I was like, okay, but still, but I didn't want to push the gun because of the first response he had. So I just let him have his response. So anyway, guy got up, and he detained him afterwards, and then he said now he's going to interrogation center. And I was like, well, and then he was like, and he's going to walk there. And I was like, they just removed like bullets. I mean, this dude he was shot up to where even his penis was shot. So literally his penis was shot. So he was messed up. And I was like, dude, if you make him walk, he's not going to make it there. So you want to interrogate, he won't make it to the center. And he was like, he's got morphine, he'll make it. He'll make it long enough for us to be able to get what we need. So I was like, okay, cool. And then he turned around to be a smart, but he was like, you want to come with us and see what we do? I was like, fuck no. I'm not trying to go with you and then go to prison. I don't want to see nothing. The less I see, the better it is. I don't know what y'all's protocols are. So he was just trying to be a jerk. So anyway, but he came down, everything was all good. But, just to see that level of what they have to go through, when they go out, and then what we go through, So anyway, we get off, off that subject. So fear never came, it was more like execution in that moment. Like, what's the objective? I got to get to objective. I can't sit here in fear and let that be it. So anyway, moving forward. So that's the icebreaker. So anyway, I couldn't sleep for 4 days on in another circumstance. So it was like I thought I was typing stuff I wasn't typing. Like the word "the" was spelled with E and then R or something like that. So I clearly had something going on with my brain. So my OIC said, "Okay, how long has it been since you slept?" And I was like, "I've been trying to go sleep for 4 days and I couldn't go." And I told him I even like lay down in my bunk and I try, but I can't make it. So I was so miserable though at this point, it was like day 4. So he was like, well, you can't come back to work until you get some sleep, so I was like, well, if you're not working, that's too much time, period. Like, it's like, somebody give me a firearm right now so I can, go see God, So it's like, I gotta work, I have to perform, because it's boring. It's beyond boring. One day of doing nothing is too much, so, because there's nothing else to do but work or do something, whether you're doing guard duty, inspecting vehicles, I had to do that too, you got to do something, so anyway, I couldn't sleep and I was miserable. So I just, I was praying to God and I was like, Lord, I have to make it to sleep. But I can't get to sleep, so I was like, go to the cash, so I went to the cash and, I said, I I became friends with the medical staff there after the initial hit, you know, on October 12th. I spent more time there, you know, to try to help, you know, give people water that was inside the thing. I mean, it just drew me in when I was off work. So, anyway, I told him I can't sleep. And I tried to go to the psych to see what was going on inside my head to where I couldn't make it to sleep. But when I went to go to psych, they said he was off on stress leave. So I was like, well, somebody should be here. Like, I gotta go to sleep, you know. So anyway, the doctor who I knew from, I think it's 504th. I may be getting it wrong. I have to look at my records because I took pictures with people and then we had the symbols in the back. So I think it was 5 something. But anyway, 544 or I don't know. But anyway, he gave me some medicine. I mean, not medicine, he gave me some pills. And he was like, let me tell you something. Do not take those pills until you know you have absolutely nothing to do. Like, you're not going to chow, you're not going here. He was like, because once you're out, you're out. So I was like, anything works. So I ate, and then I went back to my chew. And then I didn't go to the gym that day, and I took the pill, right? So I was out. And when they said I went out, you know, I was knocked out. So anyway, next thing I know, a whole bunch of people was shaking my chew to wake me up because we had our second hit. But I was knocked out, and I think because they was hitting it, I ended up getting like a nosebleed because I was in between the sleep because they had to get me up because I was the only one that I believe during that time that wasn't accounted for. So they were just shaking it. And then I had my radio, but I wasn't responding, obviously, because I'm asleep, you know. So finally they were able to get me up, and I was so like out of it. You know, I was like a walking zombie, but my nose was, you know, bleeding. And then I grabbed my gun, you know, I grabbed my vest, my Kevlar, and they told me get under the bunk, so because we were getting hit, you know, and I was asleep, so I think I just went back to sleep while we were getting hit. So then, you know, in that incident, fear wasn't there, you know. It was just like, what's the objective? It's sleep. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. So anyway, my next incident, you know, I'll just get, I think I said 4, so we'll get 4 out in the beginning so I could just talk about fear. So now this, I did have fear. So I had problems sleeping, you know, but that was like 4 days is too much. So, but I had problems sleeping, you know, so I was taking a flight from Mosul to Baghdad, but you have to stop off in like, I had to, in Balad, then Balad to Bayop, and then from Bayop to I think Camp Liberty, Victory, and then I went through the Green Zone and I had to convoy through from Liberty or Victory, wherever that rally point was, and then we had to convoy through to the Green Zone. So anyway, I'm on the flight, manifested, and you know, and I have to learn my planes. Well, I know my planes, but not, you know. So it was either a C-130 or a C-17, the one that has the cargo. We were pretty much on a cargo plane, and there was a soldier being medevaced in the back. So so I think it was a nurse and then a soldier. He was burned. You know, they had Mylar covering on the bottom of him, and you know, out there, you know, they don't cover you up, so he was naked, the whole, you know, naked. And then I'm science minded, so I'm, you know, when I first got on and they brought him on and, you know, did their thing to hook him up, then I got up and then I immediately start talking to the nurse and ask her, you know, what happened, where's he going, you know, stuff like that. And she said he's, you know, being medevac to Germany, and she's just trying to keep him alive, you know, right now. And he was just gargling and not gargling like he was going to die, but more like he was in pain and he was just out of it at the same time. So, you know, so I was like, you know, well, why do you have this, you know, on him? And, you know, he's obviously burned, you know, and I think it was underneath, you know, where she had the Mylar blanket, the foil looking stuff. So anyway, so, I took his hand, and, I just said, I just told him I'm going to pray over you for real quick, and I just said a quick prayer. And then we had to go sit down because it was time for us to leave, So I sat down, strapped in, and there was a group of, I think, 4 or 5 soldiers on the other side. And we had like the two, it's like you have your side, where you're up against the side of the plane, and then you strap up on the sides of the plane, and then you have like a long row that separates the middle of, the plane from the other people. So anyway, I was like, the shaking, I was like, I finally fell asleep, So I was like, yes, God, thank you, Jesus, thank you. Who knew sleep was so good? So I fell asleep, and again, my sleep was interrupted. So one of the soldiers, came over there to shake me to get up. So I'm over there just fucking out of it, and I was like, what, what, and he was like, wake up, wake up. He was like, where are you from? And I was like, Missoula. It's H2 site, let me go to sleep. So he was like, what's the last 4 digits of your social security number? So I gave him the last 4 digits. And then, so I was like, I'm trying to go to bed, I'm like, fucking leave me alone. So anyway, he said, wake up, wake up. And I was like, I'm up now, gosh. I was like, what, So he was like, well, if the plane goes down, you have to attach to us. And I was like, plane going down. So I stood up out of my seat, grabbed my rifle, and then I went to the window, and I said, going down, because, I'm in the middle of getting up in the process of going down, So I'm like looking out the window, so I'm seeing like some yellow, like orangish yellow stuff coming out. So I was like, what the heck is that? And he was like, the plane is shooting out flares. And then, the plane is doing this little maneuvering, So anyway, I was like, and so I looked over at him because he's on the side of where the window I was looking out of, was, because I saw the flares on his side, so that I immediately responded to his side. So anyway, he's like, yeah, like that's why I woke you up, because you got attached to us. I was like, well, I don't even know who the fuck you are. And he was like, well, if we go down, you got to come with us. So I was like, okay, cool. So, I looked at him and I was like, why the fuck would you wake me up? If the plane is going down, I could have died in my sleep, and you could have just grabbed my dog tags. So, as you can see, my priorities were not right, but I was scared at that moment. So I was like, he was like, go strap in and sit down. So I sat down and I strapped in, and then I was like, so I'm up there worried, because the plane is doing this thing, and you keep seeing the flares, or they're shooting out something, So I'm like holding on, and I was just panicked, and I was like, I don't have no parachute. I'm not a jumper. I've never jumped. so I'm all paranoid. So anyway, getting past that point, so we land in Balad. We all got there safely. So I get off the plane, and then now I have to find somewhere to sleep. So I have to go find out where their billeting office is. And I didn't know look, Balad has a huge camp and a nice camp. I was like, what? Ours was small in Missoula. I'm like, it was small. It's where you could walk it decent. It was a decent thing. So that's why we get bored quickly, because we don't have anywhere to go, So anyway, so I spent the day there. And now I'm going to skip that part, because I think that's story number, I went through, yeah, that's 2. So anyway, moving on to the 3rd. Same thing, and this is like, I think when you handle things in love to a certain degree, it gives you power because you're looking at the outcome. But that was the time where I was terrified. Where I actually got scared. The first time, because I had I don't know what that stiffness was about, but when I had that and I couldn't move, when I was able to climb back down from that, or God allowed my body to move, or my body start responding, I didn't have the fear, because I just had it. I got to give him his K-pop back, but I got to go get all my gear and rush and to give him and stuff. So anyway, That was going through my head during that time. The plane is like, holy crap, you know, I don't have a parachute. I've never jumped, you know, and I'm looking at this plane going crazy, you know, to try to get us to land safely. So that was cool, you know. So I get down from that into Balad. Then we're done with that situation. Okay. Then my third incident was, and this is why I think fear, once you learn how to overcome it, things work out a little different for you, because now you're able to only see the goal or your objective, and then the steps that you need to take to get to the objective fearlessly, you know. My other incident was, you know, I had a partner. It's the only partner that I've ever really genuinely been terrorized from. So, sorry. So I'll only give one because we had different situations, but this was the one where it was like almost taken over the top, you know, minus assault that happened from the same person. Eventually that came, but anyway, I talked about that in my other video, and I don't want to revisit that, but we'll revisit a different situation that happened. I was just trying to find out, because I was notified by when I went to go refi with this individual that there was extra debt that was taken out. It was about $150,000, you know, and you know, he was, you know, they classified him as, when I did counseling, narcissistic sociopath. So when I was trying to get the answers, this was during the time before I even knew about all of that other stuff. So, or before I learned about everything in that situation, and what that person was doing, and character-wise, you know, all that stuff. You know, psychologists, they tend to be brilliant when they outline what you've gone through. That's why I'm big on counseling. But anyway, you know, he finally pretended like he wanted to have a discussion about the money, what happened, you know, who was, because at first, you know, he's like, oh, you don't remember, you know, you were with me. I was like, I've never been in New York having dinner, you know, so that's the type of person I was dealing with, somebody that gaslights and try to create illusions and confusions to deflect from the real issues. So, or something they did, you know. So anyway, you know, he finally pretended he wanted to have a discussion. So I was like, let's go to Denny's. We went to Denny's. At that time, I had to close the business out because, you know, the decisions he was making behind my back that put an I in team, pretty much collapsed our entire household. Period. There's no other way to put it. So anyway, we go to Denny's. I knew we would be talking about stuff, because he kind of deflected the whole entire time, and I was like, you know what's pretty much going on, and which led to our separation, or you know, us leaving each other in the first place. So we sit down in Denny's, we order our food, and then I asked, I looked inside the bar area, you know, because I didn't know Denny's had a bar, but that one, they had one. So I was like, okay. Well, there was nobody inside the bar. So I approached the bartender. I was like, look, do you mind if we bring our stuff and we, you know, order in your section, and then can I shut the double doors? Because we're about to have a discussion. And I told him, and I don't know what the outcome of that discussion is going to look like. So the guy said, cool, you know, go ahead. So I told him we could go in here and talk to where we're away from the, you know, other people in the restaurant, so we could actually really have a discussion. So we go in there, and we start to speak, you know. So he asked me, okay, we order, you know, that type of stuff. We at least get a milkshake, you know. And so I'm sipping my milkshake, and then he asked me, well, what do you want to talk about, you know, finally. So I told him, I want to know everything, what you've been up to, everything. And then So I posed my first question about, his behavior, the behavioral changes, the level 10s, type of situations that was going around the house. And then obviously the money. I want to know what happened with that money, period, without the games, So his first response to me was, and he had a loaded firearm in his back pocket or whatever. So he said, I should shoot you right now. And then he went to go do this. So obviously, I think once you're deployed or something, you are desensitized to guns. So it's not like you respond like, this person has a gun. That's not your response. Well, it wasn't mine. But, I stood up and got back, because we were in the booth. So I stood where the booth back is on my side to stand up. And then I looked down at him and I was like, so you're telling me you want to take my life when I have been nothing but good to you? And I was like, who are you really mad at in this situation? So he put his hand back. He did have a gun. I knew he had a gun, but he did not unholster and unlock, but he did go to reach as if he was unholstering originally, which made me respond and stand up and then get back, so, but that was my response to that. And I was like, I won't say the rest because then I have to, it's pretty much like fine tuning who this individual is. So anyway, he took the table and he flipped the whole thing over. So the bartender and I stood in shock, and I was like, what just happened? Oh my God. And then it was weird because he went my partner went to respond to help start getting up the glass. It was like a switch or something. So it was like he went to go help respond to getting the glass up and helping the guy put the table back up. And the guy said, the bartender said, you gotta go. You gotta go. Get out of here. I'm calling the police. So I just stood there. So while I was standing there, the bartender at Denny's on Auburn was putting everything back together. And I stood there for a very long time, just like, what the heck is wrong with this dude? So anyway, after I went to the bathroom, and then I waited, and then I called, some of his friends, and I asked them, I told him exactly what he just did, and I was like, you got to take that firearm from him. I don't care how you do it. He is not welcome in the house. If he comes home, I'm calling the police, that type of deal. Because he disappeared when I went out at Denny's. He disappeared because we only came in one car. So, so his friend went to go hunt him down and go get him, and then, told me he has the firearm. As Brandy, don't make him stay there. So, so pretty much that marked the bye-bye stage, like heavily bye-bye. And I told him, next discussion we had was you need to go get help because whatever was going on. But it turns out that I think maybe and I can't speak for him now, right now, this is about to be hearsay because this part, I don't know. But, I just told him, this part I do know now. The reason I think he was overwhelming, this is speculation, right? And then I'll tell you when it gets back. So the speculation was he just got himself too much, and then he had a relationship structure over here, and then he created a business and a relationship structure, and then I don't think he cared about the pain I had to go through from the decisions that he made that collapsed my world, my business, what I was growing, So, but I just think the pressure from what he was doing over there, and pressure from whatever the situation was. So that's speculation portion. Now I'm done with the speculation portion. And then what I found out was just he ended up starting a full-fledged business 2 years before that incident. No, a year before that incident, which led to all that debt, which he was taking his resources into New York to start with someone else. And that's what the real situation was. And that's not speculation. It's a paper document, so that's how I was able to uncover the truth after getting rid of him, so anyway, now during that moment, because I know some people, they've never seen guns, they've never done that. Now if I never went into the military, I'd probably been one of those women who, I've never seen a gun, oh my gosh, and then panicked and then had a completely different response. But because, I think the military does a great job at desensitizing us to them, so we could still respond in the middle of that. Like, I remember I was in a certain part, I don't know if some camps are part of Baghdad, I'm not sure. But when I was there, I just saw I believe he was a first lieutenant, and he brought his 9mm or his 45, whatever, his handgun, I'll just say handgun. And then there was a group of soldiers that brought up their M16s, and then I went in the center, and I was like, nobody's shooting anybody, and nobody's doing anything, because, no, that's not what we do. One team, so we don't have that same fear. Because we're trigger disciplined. If we shoot, it's either intentional, period. And it's not like we're scared. We just don't have that fear factor when we're dealing with weapons. But if I had been a woman who was never seen it, never touched it, like my mom is kind of like that. I tried to take her shoot once. She's like, ah, and then she ran out the room all dramatic. Me and my brothers, we were clouded. But I was like, you gotta learn how to do a handgun, woman. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. So anyway, I probably would have had different fear, but my issue in that moment was mostly I have a kid to raise, and my son depends on that, that was my mental state in that moment. I wasn't thinking about him actually taking the gun and shooting me and taking my life. I wasn't. So I was more like, my son, and you're not going to take me from my son. I don't care what's going on in your head. You created that. You're not really upset with me. You're upset with yourself, that type of deal. So, so it's a way of kind of fighting back. But I think God was giving me what I needed to say in that moment. To de-escalate that situation. And then the sad part is he was like, I pulled it out because you advanced. Like, I was like, so now you're trying to use, because he was trying to use my color as a way to say, okay, the evil black woman syndrome. I was like, no, you the one with the firearm that came here talking about upholstering it and taking my life, so that's different, so anyway, when we're talking about fear, anxiety, different types of obstacles can bring that into your life, and speaking to some other individuals, I learned of so much trauma that a lot of people are running around with, and that's why I'm big on counseling. But when we're talking about getting through your fears, in a biblical sense, it's pretty much the devil is out to do whatever it takes to harm you. All the things I've been through, I should be crazy or something. But that's not what God has for me. His was like, you're going to get through this, and then you're going to have to heal other people using your experiences. And not only that, teaching, how did you do it? Because maybe there's something I can offer. So when we're talking about getting through obstacles without the fear, first of all, you just got to know the battle really genuinely is not about you. It's about a spiritual battle that we're fighting. So for instance, whatever spirit or attachment he had, that had nothing to do with me. So that's why I had to take it to God and say, what do I say? And then it came out, it flowed, and it worked, So what do I need to do, God, in this situation with this individual? Then it flowed, and then it worked. So I think if we start taking everything to God first, allow him to work out all those details, and it removes the fear from you, because fear is just, to me, just an intimidation strategy by the enemy, and he'll bring it in different ways, and if you take it out from a self, you got to remove selfishness out of the equation, which when you only look at yourself, then you're incapable to, and this is just my opinion, this is not written in stone, you kind of take your ability to see things differently away. So pretty much when I looked at him in the moment of him having that gun thing out, it was more like something's going on with him that has nothing to do with me. And that's why I had to put it on him. Like, okay, I haven't done things to you directly, because I know I haven't, So what you got to look at yourself, because there's something inside of you that needs to be addressed for you to feel like you need to do this to me. Okay, so keep things where they are. My video is about to go out in 2 minutes, so I'll have to continue this on a differently. So that's all I have to say. I will do more series. This wasn't intended to go this far. I was trying to make it quick and then fun, and it turned into like, okay, you've been this way, that way, and then I didn't even get to the fear, because in certain moments I was just executing, not really able to take it all in. But that was a situation where, I was in, some fear, and then, last situation, I only got a minute, and it's going to shut me down in about 60 seconds. So let's see if I get this out. So I had guard duty, and force protection is what they call it. So, I was taking my little scope, going through the cars, and then you have to do ID checks, make sure it's valid. If it's not, call it in, and, then you have to have your little tie stick going under cars and stuff. So I was always nervous, especially with the larger trucks that's coming in, because it takes longer to use your mirror that goes under the car and then go around and all this other stuff. And then you're just praying like, Lord, just let everything be what it is. But if you're going to take me today, just, let me say my prayers right now. So I always looking at the cars, just